But yeah, so today we originally wanted to try and do this group, this sort of show match style, a couple weeks ago. I got stranded in California, and that was just not going to be a possibility, sadly. Livy was, of course, cast with me back then, too, and hype. Thank you, Livy, for coming back once more.
Hell yeah, it's awesome to be back always. Pleasure is all mine.
Now, of course, the one thing we're all going to hope for is that I reverted XSplit to a previous version, and for anyone who was tuning in yesterday, you probably recall the issues we were having, and hopefully those issues don't persist today. But regardless, we are going to be casting this best of three. It's the first match of the day. For those who don't know the format, really quick rundown for you. We're going to have match A, match B, winner's match, and we would normally cast the loser's match, but there's some time constraint issues for today, so we're going to have those two play at the same time, winners and losers simultaneously, cast the winner's match, and then go to the finals. So that's your kind of quick rundown of today. Spawning here in the bottom left side of Orbital Shipyard is going to be the purple Protoss, Solace, better known as Puck.
And opposing him across the map, it is the red Zerg. He goes by Nerchio.
Alright, so Nerchio, I think a lot of us had seen a lot of at the start of Legacy of the Void. He came out hitting it strong with folks really just going ham in Lycan leagues, etc. Him and Bly were trading off victories week after week. It was kind of funny to see. Nerfs came in, buffs came in. The patches have really changed the game up quite a bit since its initial inception, but Nerchio's always remained a pretty consistently strong player through it.
Yep, and Puck actually proving his own skill levels very well in the last show match that we casted.
Yeah, 3-0ing not once, but twice.
Yeah, now that was impressive.
He also performed very admirably yesterday in the Zombie send-off tournament. He got quite a few PVZs, and I think he lasted and did some really cool stuff. One of the things I really enjoyed watching was, mentioned before the game, we didn't see just adepts and straight to carriers or any BS like that. We saw disruptor usage, we saw terrain abuse. It's really cool watching somebody like Puck play, and sadly, you know, we didn't get a lot of him for a while, or any other Protoss players. You know, Protoss was so bad for so long in Legacy of the Void. Now that in this beta version of the game, it's caught up. It's also gone a little bit above and beyond. So we're starting to see some of these guys eke out more and more.
Yeah, with Nerchio, he's actually going to be taking 2 drones off his gas now. Wants to tech a little bit faster, just get that speed initially. Going to be making some Zerglings, of course. You can never really not make Zerglings in Legacy of the Void to start the game, because you always have that constant harass option of adepts.
Sorry, just type in the chat real quick. Rifka, did you dress up today? Nah, I dressed up for you guys, obviously.
Dressing up all swag.
Yeah. Got my my Yord Wood watch on. Feel like $1,000,000. All right, so one of the things I'm curious about from your point of view, Livy, you mentioned before you've seen some things like adepts, seen some things like carriers. Is there any sort of one strategy that really has caught you off guard as a Zerg player? Or is there any sort of mid-game, like, just, oops, 7 gates went down, I didn't scout it? Like, what's the toughest thing for you to deal with right now in this matchup?
I feel like mass gateway timings aren't as popular anymore in Legacy of the Void, because if you do see that coming, all you need to do is make Ravagers approach Ling, and it kind of shuts it down for the most part, because most of the Protoss army clumps up, and the Ravager Corrosive Bile does such good work against clumped up Protoss units. But I feel like the most popular strategy that I feel like a lot of Protosses are using on ladder these days are the Warp Prism Adept timings, because you can warp in, mass Zealot, mass Adept, just do a crazy amount of damage, because the warp-ins just don't really take any time at all.
This is a really good strand out of Nerchio. He's not going to quite kill the adept, but it's so low the queen will get the killing blow. Nicely done.
That's nice. I feel like the first adept actually isn't that much of a threat as is just a scout.
Yeah.
Because one adept gets picked off quite easily. I mean, a lot of Zergs do open the speedlings, and then a surround on an adept gets killed off by speedlings quite quickly. It's only when you have a huge amount of adepts clumped up that you don't get the surface area you need from the speedlings to really take cost-efficient engagements.
Not to mention the slow attack speed of the adept actually gets really complemented when you've got a second one nearby versus just one shooting forever on cooldown. One of the things though worth noting, and I guess this is some stuff where a lot of you guys know this is common sense, but we saw it earlier, the photon overcharge on the pylon, creep spreads incredibly fast. In fact, I'm going to watch this tumor complete just so you guys can watch how fast the creep spread comes out of this. Lots of subtle changes they've been making to the game, and Lots of ways it's going to affect the matchup. Look at that cream spread. Oh my god, it's so stupid.
It could be faster. Could be faster.
Well, okay, calm down there, Zerg, alright?
The other thing that's important to note with creep spread is that it actually resends a lot faster as well.
Yeah.
So if you have a overlord spewing creep on a potential expansion, just pick off the overlord and the creep will actually resend quite nicely. So Terran or Protoss could take their expansion, which is not nice for Zerg players. So nicely was probably the wrong adjective to use on my behalf.
Well, the one other thing I want to touch base on, because we did talk about the warp prism, we're going to see it, is it has like a 2-second warping. You guys just saw, I looked away for a second and you didn't even see the warping complete. Like, that's how fast it is now. So
yeah,
the warping will,
so
like,
ridiculously fast.
yeah, if you're not paying attention, you can get swamped by like a huge warping of 7 adepts without even realizing it already happened. But we'll see where Puck decides to take this. Again, one of the nice things is it does kind of help do some good harass. It's hard to kill the adepts. The warp prism keeps them alive with that 6-range pickup as well. But there are queens at each of these. Roaches are on the way, and I don't really see Puck getting away with too much.
Yeah, and there are 4 Hydralisks on the way now as well. So we are going to see a bit of a Roach Hydra play coming out from Nerchio. He might actually go transition to Lurkers from here, having the Hydralisk down already. But, oh, some Adepts on the high ground and the low ground is actually quite nice. Being able to pick up all the Adepts as well, not losing a single one of them. Killing a couple drones in the process as well. Really good target firing here from Puck.
Yeah, the range on that pickup is so funny to watch. Now, one of the things I really applaud, and I would love to see more Archon mode usage up, for example, is things like the Warp Prism do take a fair amount of control to abuse it. Puck actually lost a couple of Warp Prisms, pretty, frankly, silly Warp Prism deaths yesterday. I'm hoping not to see that replicated today. But it is worth noting, third base is down. He's going for those double Stargates. And the big thing is, if you've got a big army of Adepts underneath what is air, and whether it's Mass Phoenix, because he did do Mass Phoenix yesterday, or if it's carriers, the Adepts will take care of most of what can shoot up.
Yeah, and I'm really liking Nerchio's positioning right here in this game so far. He's got nice creep spread, he's got nice map awareness around his bases of his side of the map. He's got the supply, like he's been keeping up with the economy, even though Puck is on 3 base currently. Nerchio is getting that 4th base up at a nice timely manner. So, I mean, Nerchio can't be on the aggressive just yet, I feel like, because he's got that threat of that Warp Prism that he has not yet cleaned up. And with the warp ins, as we saw so quickly, who knows, like he could just easily warp in 30 Zealots. You never know.
So this is a pretty important scout for Nerchio, seeing the Phoenix and not seeing something like Carriers or Void Rays. This is going to let him know the timing to push in is going to be, quite frankly, fine. I think the Adept should be able to hold these lines, especially with the Phoenix lifting up a couple units on the backside. Roaches and Adepts just take forever to kill each other. They're both slow, tanky, strong units. But one of the big things is Nerchio is not someone who's averse to using Parasitic Bomb. And yesterday we saw Guru fall to Mass Phoenix without a single Viper in play. So looks like it's being a little bit of a struggle holding on to this. Photon Overcharge is going to help a ton, of course. But Puck holds the first wave.
Nerchio keeping outside the circle of that Photon Overcharge on those pylons. Like, he doesn't want... It just picks off Roaches or any unit really so quickly. He needs to wait till the cooldown does expire. But it does expire quite quickly, and that is the saving grace here for Nerchio.
Well, as you see, last pylon is going to go down. Or maybe not. What? Get a couple of shots, setting at 1 health.
It looks like half a HP even. Like the HP on that bar isn't even existent at this point.
The Phoenix are getting picked off at this point. We had a Void Ray on the way. He was going to be able to just deal with the Roaches. And if that was the case, the Adepts would deal with the Hydralisk. But Nerchio might just be hitting with a little too much. Puck had a really good solid strategy for the follow-up to this, but he's not going to get to execute it. Double Overcharge needs to go down. Doesn't. Mothership Core dies. Adepts are being microed like crazy. But Livy, I don't know if this is going to be enough. There's so many Hydralisks in the base. Yeah,
this is just a really clutch timing that Nerchio was able to hit. Like, his supply just was so crazy. Like, the production was out of control. Nerchio taking the game number 1.
GG for him. All right, so it's just one game. Lots of best of 3s. Of course, everything's best of 3 today, and it was asked earlier, but I didn't get to bring it up in time. The prize pool today is $500. $300 is going to go to the person who comes out first in the group, and $200 to the second place in the group. So think of it like everything you've ever seen for WCS, for GSL, for DreamHacks. It's the groups that we're all used to, and we're just awarding money for the top 2 slots, which is good.
That's not bad for Wednesday afternoon.
Well, see, normally I would say there's a 50% chance of getting money, right? But we all see that there's Protoss here. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, when we last saw the Showmatches and those two Protoss is that the two Protosses actually made it out of the group as the top two. But you got to be like, is Protoss Emperor or are these players just really good? And we did see Puck 3-0ing the other Protoss. So I feel like Puck actually just has a really good shot. Not being Protoss, but just being able to abuse the new units and playing the race really well.
Yeah, I mean, being down one game is not a really big deal. We'll see how if the trend continues. The nice thing though is I know Beastie, for example, really hates Protoss right now. Like it's the matchup is in the first place, but Beastie especially hates it. So if it ends up being like say Puck versus Beastie in like the losers match or something, you know, that's pretty, I'd say, easy for Puck. But if it's Bly or something that he fights, whether it's the winners match or the losers match, that might be more of a struggle. But I say that with a bit of an asterisk because when we talk about those 3-0s last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, it was Bly that got 3-0'd. So
yeah, he might be coming back with a strong vengeance though.